episode. My name is Patrick Akindepatrick. I'm a student of Okan University in Istanbul. It's no longer news that climate change, sustainability and environmental health has been a pertinent subject, especially in the 21st century. The need for eco-cities as drivers for economic change. And in my presentation today, I'll be highlighting the principles behind eco-cities and how they can be applied in the Nigerian context. Stay tuned. Welcome back. The topic is Ecocity concepts and its applications. An Ecocity inclined proposal for Eco-Atlantic, Lagos, Nigeria. In recent times, the concept of eco-cities has been on the rise to improve livability of cities. Some of the issues faced by cities around the world include insufficient resources, environmental challenges, to mention but a few. Therefore, best conventional examples will assist in the spread of ecological urban design standards and understanding. This article and presentation aims at evaluating some prominent examples of ecological development around the world using a comprehensive comparative matrix and SWOT analysis with ecological indicators and an insight into their progress of construction. Keywords which are used in this in my research include Ecocity principles, indicators for sustainable ecocities, Ecocity projects, comparative analysis of eco-urban projects. Now, over the years, research has tried to bring forward viable methods as to how ecological and livable cities can be judged. These studies have also shown that objective method is most acceptable. Cities around the world are overpopulated, accompanied with stress on landed resources, and leaving almost no available land for expansion. Cities are also occupy about 2% of the world's land mass, yet contribute more than 2/3 of the global greenhouse gas emissions. Environmental degradation, urban sprawl, and social inequalities have continued to threaten urban planning and regeneration. In this unprecedented era of increasing urbanization, we have reached a critical point in understanding that cities can be a source of sustainable solutions to challenges being faced today. If well planned, managed, it could be a powerful tool for sustainable development. The aim of this proposal is to draw analysis from an evaluated SWOT matrix of ecocity projects around the world and come up with suitable and efficient ecological parameters which will play as standards for creating an ecocity project in Nigeria, and which could also be used in other parts of the world. My objectives of the study include to evaluate the current state and features of selected ecocity projects around the world, envisage guiding principles and parameters which can be used in planning ecocities, to propose a working benchmark for the Eco-Atlantic project in order for it to be an ecocity, to understand some of the pertinent global challenges that can be solved through the concept of ecocity principles. Now, what is ecocity principles? We need to understand the concept of ecocity principles before we go further to the proposal of the Eco-Atlantic project. In 1992, the initiating wave of a practical ecocity sprung up in the United Nations Earth Summit held in Rio, Brazil. It was deliberated that less population, less mismanagement of land, and lack of recycling of waste materials could adversely result in climate change. Ecocity, which is otherwise referred to as a sustainable city, is a city where its people needs are satisfied without jeopardizing other people's well-being for the present and future. Other attributes include its potential for sustainability using settlement patterns which save space, are energy efficient, and in harmony with nature. Compact, pedestrian-oriented mixed land use with multiple centers, integrated by public transport, oriented locations, focus on pedestrians, cycles, and public transport. Attractive public spaces, cultural heritage with green spaces to make the city attractive, livable, and walkable. Some of the Ecocity projects which I evaluated include the Solar City Linz in Austria. It was designed by architect Norman Foster, Richard Rogers, Thomas Herzog, and a famous energy technology planner, Norbert Kaiser. The year of construction was between 1998 and 2001. Another uh, Ecocity project in which I studied was the Mazda Ecocity in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. This was designed by Norman Foster, Spence de Grey, David Nelson, and Mozan Majidi. In the year of construction was in the year 2006. Another project is the Greenest City, a renewable city in Vancouver, Canada. The architects involved in this project were PWL Partnership, Michael Green Architecture, PFS Studio, and Bing Tom Architects. In the year of construction, the project was approved by the Vancouver City Council in July 2011. Another local example which I studied is the Batikent project west of Ankara, Turkey. Architects involved. The project was a union of housing cooperatives, non-governmental and voluntary self-help project. Year of construction was 1974. Another project is the Mikkeli project in Finland. The architect involved is Atos Sipinen, and the year of construction was 1838. Now, in order to understand eco-cities, we need to understand some guiding principles which make eco-cities function properly. One of these principles is of urban planning. For eco-cities, planning should consider the following. Projects within the eco-city should have an essential social, cultural, and economic facilities with all the amenities in close proximity in order to encourage walking. Walking is very important so as to reduce carbon emission, thereby making the city polycentric with environmental friendly transport modes. Presence of compact mixed-use building, places for shorter walking distance, availability of good transport, district heating systems that are economically feasible with sufficient landscaped area and sustainable technologies. Population is another guiding principle. Plan studies of eco-cities in which I studied, I was able to draw a conclusion that planned largest populated cities such as Dongtang, Chongqing in China, and Globetown, Russia, had 500,000 inhabitants. This target will not reach during the first years of city life, but will increase gradually. The smallest planned cities were Mazda, UAE, with 50,000, and Ecocity, USA, with 150,000 inhabitants. Schedules of projects. Pilot projects that are still not completed. For example, the Ecocity USA designed Ecocity in USA designed in 1970 was still not completed. Regulatory plan of Tirana, Albania in 2003. Dongtang, China was designed in 2005, which was the first eco-city in the world, and Mazda City, UAE, designed in 2008. The surface area is also another parameter. The surface area of construction sites, that is the ratio between built and green spaces, and surface topography, helps to determine the cost of the project. For example, Dongtang is about the biggest is about the biggest Ecocity project. The cost needed to finish the project is going to be larger compared to Akonsante, which is the smallest city. Cost also depends on the number of inhabitants, typology of construction site, the design concept, and the technologies used. Transport is also another parameter. Non-carbon transport with zero emission in the air. Importantly, use of personal cars and public transport along with pedestrianized movement is encouraged in the cases mentioned. For example, the Mazda City uses 7% fossil fuel, and Akosati uses conveyor belts. Conveyor belts produce zero carbon emission, which makes it more eco-friendly. Waste is also another parameter. The Doktang project, which is in China, aims to become a zero waste city, with 90% of the city's waste to be reused. In Mazda, the same ambition is observed with biological waste to be used to create nutrient-rich soil and fertilizer, with some waste being burnt to utilize as an additional power source, and industrial waste like plastics and metals to be recycled or repurposed for other uses. Energy savings with a low cost is important. The Doktang project, Ecocity project, has 64% energy demand reduction and saves about 350,000 tons of carbon dioxide yearly, with no emissions from energy for power or heat. The Mazda City project aims to produce 40 to 60 megawatt solar power plant, which uses wind, air, biofuel, and recycled city waste for energy production, and photovoltaic modules on rooftops for solar energy. So for water in Mazda City, water will be provided by desalination plants fueled by solar power. 80% of the water will be recycled, and wastewater will be reused. The Akosante project is currently trying to implement these water systems, whereas in Tirana, where there is immediate need of water recycling system as they discharge untreated water in Lana River, mostly in urban and rural areas. I went further to prepare a SWOT matrix table, which analyzes the strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats of this of the case studies in which I examined. The solar city links in Austria. For the strength, there's a decentralized water purification system, eco transport system, extensive utilization of solar energy, self-sustaining resilient structures, natural ecosystems. For the weaknesses, the distance between lanes and the solar city and how to bridge is its weak point. For opportunities, the connection of nature protection and urban development, a sustainable oriented future, direct use of sun to increase welfare of people, and utilization of renewable energy. For the threats of that project, soil was not targeted, or it was more like neglected. For Mazda City, eco-friendly lifestyle, traditional and Arabic architecture was employed, that with use of modern technology. New technologies can be tested here and then used more widely. For the weakness in the master project, hugely expensive for so few homes. The budget which was targeted to this project was quite huge. For just not very many inhabitants. Construction is still underway, but to be fully operational by in a few years' time. For the opportunities, attractive investment opportunities, it's is very high. As planned from scratch, infrastructure such as transport, waste, and water can be very efficient. For the threats, planners are struggling to meet their original aims of making the city self-sufficient in renewable energy. This is because of the location. The greenest city in Canada, for the strength, it occupies the ninth place on the list of most eco-friendly cities, a perfect setting between the ocean and forest, the first major city in North America to commit to 100% renewable energy production. For the weakness, extreme climate with frequent rains and the worst temperature drop. For the opportunities, Canada has benefited in burning fossil fuels will be destination for refugees. Okay. Canada is For the threats, Canada is warming twice as quickly as the global rate. The Vatican's project, for the strength, the only cooperative it's the only cooperative assisted largest public housing area. As a result of this, project mass housing law and mass housing administration evolved. For the weakness, the nursery, cultural, and entertainment structures in the neighborhood centers did not develop properly. For the opportunities, a social, cooperative, strategic, holistic, and endless planning process was used. The involvement of administration. For the threats, changes in zoning for the neighborhood centers is required. Bicycle transportation routes envisioned by the Vatican zoning plan should also be recognized. The Mikkeli in Finland add strengths such as power station using forest waste, connecting water cycles, effective waste management. For the weakness, redevelopment to ensure high quality services to how to high redevelopment to ensure high quality services and to facilitate more housing. For opportunities, to reach a carbon neutral development, Lakefront, a flagship project for a sustainable hybrid and self-sufficient city. For the threats, it is situated between lakes and forests. For the last but not the least is the Karachi uh, Karachi project in Pakistan. For the strengths, it has a compatibility with nature, horticultural components, imaginatively incorporated to make uh, the project a green and healthy city. It is the most successful pioneering solar power project located in Pakistan. For the weakness, protection from natural disaster is required in order to make this project successful. For the opportunities, it is envisioned that it will be the first sustainable city project in Pakistan, a model for the future. It will play a vital role in providing healthy living spaces for its citizens and protection from extreme weather. For the threats, the weather is extreme and there is risk of severe cyclones and sea level rise. Now to the Ecocity proposal for Eco-Atlantic project. I will start with the project definition. The Eco-Atlantic project, which is said to be a sustainable city, is just off Lagos, Nigeria's coast, and is projected to be an artificial island emerging from the sea, with its foundation built from sand dredged from the ocean floor. It will stretch over 10 kilometers. This project is set to house 250,000 people. Once completed, the Eco-Atlantic project will be a home to 300,000 residents and 200,000 commuters who will enjoy one of the largest shopping malls in West Africa and a stunning waterfront promenade. I've also gone further to analyze the impact and assessment as well as make some ecological recommendations for this project. For the coastal environment, an assessment of the impact of the project on hydrodynamics and geomorphology looked at the changes that the reclamation could have on the local waves, currents, and sediment transport regime. The project will provide a long-term solution to the coastal erosion which takes place along Victoria Island. However, historical records confirm that coastal threats had been continuing unabated over the past century, regardless of the upcoming project. For land environment, majority of construction activity for the project will be restricted to the marine environment, and therefore potential for impact upon the terrestrial environment is limited. For water and physical attributes, the reclamation and associated activities may cause disturbance to the local water quality, such as through increased and suspended sediments in the water column or pollution through accidental spillages. However, the assessment is predicted that following the implementation of best practices measures on the site, effects will only be of a minor nature. The study also identifies that effects on marine and lagoon ecology will be low. Noise and air environment. Construction activity has the potential to disturb through generation of noise. However, the results of noise studies for the project indicates that noise from the delivery of rock for the sea defense will not result in a significant impact along the transport route. Furthermore, noise disturbance to coastal properties from reclamation machinery will be low and only experienced temporarily. On the human environment scale, the project has the potential to generate positive economic effects to the local and national economy. Positive effects would arise from employment and via the supply chain. In addition, the sharing of international knowledge and expertise with local workers is considered a positive effect on the project. Ecological design recommendations for the Eco-Atlantic project. We categorize development as being sustainable when the supposed development meets the need of the present without compromising the capability of future generations to afford today's needs. In this regard, the following conditions should be provided for sustainable urbanization. Natural habitats should be protected. The need for housing caused by increased population should be solved by protecting green lands. Vertical structures should be more patronized instead of horizontal structures. Water sources should be protected. Motor vehicles usages should not be encouraged. Also, in terms of ecological planning and urban ecology, the concepts of sustainable urbanization and eco-philosophy should be key points in ecological discussions. These include insulating buildings and orientating them to the sun, supplying water from roof, brook, and well, supplying food from its balcony, garden, and roof, supplying and saving energy for the building, reusing water without polluting. Opportunities for ecological settlement in the area for the project. The building is considered as the main unit of human accommodation. In the case of the units getting energy and water, and the increase in food production in the unit's environment, in advanced city planning and management techniques to protect energy and water. Separation of water from waste and reuse is calculated as a production value in cities. A study of environmental urban settlement is therefore carried out by studying the following: solar energy systems, wind energy systems, mechanisms for rainwater collecting, grey water collecting, creation of common district areas, sustainable afforestation to environment, education and instruction studies, nutrition and agriculture, human health, sustainable park and green areas, solar LNG plants and strategic plans. I have prepared a graphical representation of the study area along with pictorial views of the current situation of the area. This slide shows the site analysis along with the sun paths and direction of cold and hot winds. I've also prepared a SWOT analysis which shows the strengths, weakness, opportunities and threats which for the proposed site. For the strength, it is a perfect setting between the ocean and the urban area. A lot of renewable energy initiatives can be employed on the site. Opportunities for plant life to survive comfortably is also available. For the weakness, there's adequate protection from sea waves is required. During planning, planners should also learn from other sustainable cities in order to avoid mistakes. Construction is underway concerning this project, and Ecocity measures must be properly planned. For the opportunities, it brings an attractive investment opportunity. If well planned from scratch, infrastructure like waste, transport, and water can be very efficient. Utilization of renewable energy is also a very big opportunity. Good amount of sunlight can be easily converted to light because of the location of the project. For threats, bicycle transportation and routes should be properly planned. Planning for rise in sea levels should also be duly considered. For the conceptual development, I have designed an eco-friendly transport route, which and I took into consideration sustainable and eco-friendly means for the transport modes. I also considered some use from the case studies evaluated some urban transport modes which could be implemented in the project, such as the personal rapid transport, which was imbibed in the Mazda project. That mode of transport is eco-friendly and uses solar energy to power the vehicles which will be used for transport people. Walking is also going to be promoted along transport routes, and cycling also. The green colored line along shown on the transport route shows the light rail transport which will run around the city's parameter and stop at locations at important locations along its routes. There's also the waterway which I planned along the city which I plan to move along the city, which will encourage reduce temperature and and bring down the city's temperature, uh, which will bring down the city's temperature a little. For the land use, I have sectioned the area to accommodate a solar plant, mixed use building. This mixed use building will be eco-friendly and sustainable. Office and retail area, eco residencies, hotels and serviced apartments, open spaces to encourage recreational activities, communal spaces, office and retail spaces, waste and recycle plants, religious buildings, and research buildings to encourage research development for the future. It is important to note that while planning, while coming up with my conceptual development, it I my aim was is to make this project one of Nigeria's first Ecocity projects, which will house about 250,000 residents and 300,000 commuters. If the project will follow strict Ecocity principles, such as the provision of bicycle and walking paths to reduce carbon emissions, there will be planting of edible trees and and open spaces to encourage food production. Eco-rise buildings will adorn the cityscape and eco-residential buildings to improve climate. The project is set in an excellent location which will attract tourists and investors. The city will have recreational areas and parking spaces also. This last slide shows my application of Ecocity principles. The solar power plant, the research development area, parks and squares like that which was used in Qatar, Istanbul, and eco skyscrapers. Eco residencies will also be a major part of this project in order to make living very sustainable. I've also used the initiative of nomadic structures for sports facilities. So there's going to be a waste recycle plant which will be located on the north southern part of the project to encourage recycling of waste and also promote renewable energy sources. I want to thank you very much for listening, and I hope you've learned a great deal. Stay safe. God bless.